I don't like to be called out. Do you? Do you like to be called out? Because I don't. I've never liked to be called out. I remember as a young 7-year-old when I got into trouble trying to figure out how I could get out of the trouble I was in. My early gift of gab put into practice. And every now and then, my father would just give me just enough rope, curious as to what this child might come up with next, what explanation, what logical affirmation. Occasionally, I might even surprise him a bit, and he might say, "I'm impressed, but you're still in trouble." The reality of it is that as we gather on this third Sunday of Advent, we hear these words. We hear brood of vipers. We hear unquenchable fire. We hear bearing fruits worthy of repentance. And most of us try to build a wall so that we don't hear anymore. It makes us uncomfortable. And yet there's an invitation here for us. And there's an invitation concept that I've been hearing about in the last few years in the midst of difficult conversations and difficult days in culture and life. And that is that instead of calling people out, maybe we should invite one another to be called in. So today the prophet calls us in. And like the people long ago, we might ask, "All right, prophet, I hear you. I came all the way from town into the wilderness, so what are we to do?" And the prophet speaks to each of us in particular ways. And to be honest, gives us very simple things for us to think about. To the crowd, to the average Joe, he says, if you have 2 coats, give one away. And if you have enough food, give some of that away also. A call to look into our closets and our pantries and see how we can be part of calling in. To the tax collectors, people of means, people of privilege, people of stature, people of positions, on poor people's backs, though. He says, stop being so greedy. In other words, maybe you need to develop a new imagination and stop taking money from those who need it most and begin to use your power and your privilege and your position to live in a different way. In a way that society might be more just, more whole, more equitable. To the soldiers who, by the way, the soldiers would companion the tax collector to make sure you would pay. Stop using your violence and your position of power to extort, to make yourself wealthy. Begin to use that differently. And so we, like those long ago, are faced with a question. What does love look like on a Sunday like this? It looks like us opening ourselves up to curiosity. It looks like us digging deep into ourselves to do some reflection, to recognize that there are things that we can do, some of them really practical things. This morning, I myself was convicted by my own sermon. As I came out into the cold weather this morning, I looked at my rack where my coats are at, and I realized I had 5 of them. And I choose the one that I've had for over 20 years. And I heard the voice of the prophet. So maybe you are hearing the voice of the prophet calling you in to reflect on your blessing, to reflect on your joy, to give all of us an opportunity to say that love might look just like this as we share, as we build a better community in the everyday, as we together change our way of thinking and being, a new imagination for a more just, equitable, and loving world. Love looking like this.